Testing, testing, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Once again, good morning. Welcome to Woodland. We ready to get started? Okay. Good morning again. Welcome to Woodland Early Learning Community. My name is Bridget Crutchfield. I'm a site supervisor here. We are extremely excited to have the opportunity to host this important event this morning. So very grateful that you guys could join us this morning on this chilly day. Not cold, but just chilly. At Woodland Early Learning, we take pride in nurturing our students into young scholars and their bright futures. It's very important that today's news has been, excuse me. It's very important that today's news has been shared from our school because it marks the new dawn of Kansas City Public Schools. Yay! At this time, I would like to welcome Kansas City Public School Teacher 2018, School Teacher of the Year of 2018, and Central Middle School Math Teacher, as the kids call him Mr. R.
Thank you, Ms. Crutchfield. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I want to extend my thanks to Dr. Bedell for asking me here to help share this important news. As Bridget alluded to, I do teach algebra at Central Middle School, and it does seem fitting that I would be here today to help share this news centered around data, because trust me, as a math teacher, I love data. But I do think it's really important to iterate that teachers don't enter the classroom for the love of data. We teach for the love of our kids. We don't spend years studying our own chosen path because we want to administer standardized tests. And as a math teacher, this is hard for me to say, but teachers don't care that much about charts and rates and percentages. We care that much about our kids. We are teachers because we are driven to help children become successful adults. With all the recent news and noise surrounding public education in our country, I think we need to remember the one most essential data point. Teachers love their children. Individual, sometimes frustrating, but always uniquely wonderful children. And given that fact, our measures of success can't be graphed. How do you plot the moment when a struggling student suddenly realizes they understand integers? Sure, we can assess that skill, but the hope and the resilience that that light bulb moment instills, that's the true value of a great public education. So please keep that in mind today as we share our news. This data represents the hard work of real teachers and real students working together to build a bright future for Kansas City, for our country, and for the world. It's time to share our big news. Dr. Bedell, Ms. Robinson, please get ready. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2018 Annual Progress Report score for Kansas City Public Schools is
Kansas City Public Schools earning 82.9% of the points possible on our 2018 Annual Progress Report. Let's give that another KCPS students, they have performed better than they ever had on this state test in math and English. That deserves another round of applause. students earned 15 out of 16 points possible in math and English. You know, there's nothing like rooting for an underdog. You know, that institution, that person, that organization that's been counted out, but instead, they didn't retreat. They and their few lonely friends doubled down on doing what they know works. They don't pay attention to the naysayers. They are intentional. They studiously work, and they work with urgency, performing each and every day, waiting on their time to shine. This is our time. Yes, it does feel good to root for an underdog despite all of the obstacles. MSIP 4, 5, 6. But you root for them continuously. But I'm not here to talk about underdogs because that's not really what it's about. Today is about education. It's about the liberation of our children. It's about each of you in this room. I can't name you all, but people like Jan Parks and Rosa James and Mary Ellen DeCourcy. Organizations of our faith community, Church of the Resurrection, Friendship Baptist Church. Organizational partners like City Year. Our foundation partners that are in the room. Our educational partners like the Metropolitan Community Colleges, and certainly our KCPS family. Give them a round of applause. Now, I'm just a girl from a, old Baptist church, and so sometimes we just like to talk to our neighbors. And so I'm gonna need for you to turn to your neighbor and say, I believe. I believe in KCPS. I believe in KCPS. Thank you, I can't help that, really can't. But today is about all of you who believed in the brilliance and the brightness of our students, our children, our adolescents. It seems cliche, yet there's a foundational truth in looking into the eyes of a child, looking into the eyes of the children in our entire KCPS student body, and saying to them that I believe, I know that you can, I know that you will succeed. Let me show you how. Amen. From our parents, our teachers, building leaders, our administration, our board, and several factions of our Kansas City community, it's you that came together. You built a plan, and you worked and executed that plan fiercely. Please join me in recognizing my colleagues, true warriors of public education, Amy Hartsfeld, and please stand when I call your name, Carl Evans, Natalie Lewis, Asia Morris, don't sit down, John Fierro, Jennifer Wolfsey, Board Treasurer Matthew Oates, and the greatest vice chair on the planet, Patty Manson. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you for your contribution to this equation. So, as our board, we partner with our community to develop our end goals. Our impact is clear. High-achieving critical thinkers, our children and our students are succeeding in a constantly changing world, and they're engaged in the improvement of our community. These ends weren't set yesterday, and I also want to recognize former KCPS board members. Will you please stand? I see John Howe, wave your hand. Yes, give them a round of applause. See, these community desires for these ends, they're the board's mandate to monitor and be accountable for these ends. And so when you think about Board Policy 1.1, high achieving critical thinkers, When you unpack that we believe that all students will demonstrate proficiency or advance on state tests. Students demonstrating basic or below basic will demonstrate significant growth. When you dive deeper into this 82.9 APR, you will see that we have a unique and strong ability to grow students. It's something to celebrate. It's the springboard and the building blocks to proficiency and advanced. So this is not possible without a strong CEO. This board, Dr. Bedell, cannot be more prouder of you. We could not be more proud. Your work ethic. It's been an honor for this board not only to monitor, but to serve you, to make sure that you and your team were given the tools, the space, the autonomy to lead. And you came to us 3 years ago, and you said, Kansas City Public Schools, you can, you will succeed. Let me show you how. Dr. Mark Bedell.
I want to have a real conversation with you because, I come from Rochester, New York. I'm from the streets, and I try to be hard, and I'm up here tearing up right now. And the truth is, part of the reason why I'm tearing up is because these kids deserve so much more than what we've been able to give them. And that has been my message from day one, was that we were going to come in here and we were going to assemble a team of people who were willing to be martyrs on behalf of children, and that we would make sure that how we allocated our resources, who we partnered with, that they would be of some type of value add to the social, emotional, and academic achievement of children. And so I'm very proud to believe that we've been able to accomplish that. And none of this is possible without having a supportive group of board of directors. And I think many people know that the livelihood of a superintendent is really dependent upon how well he or she is supported by those that he or she reports to. I will tell you that we started live streaming our board meetings several months after we started. All of that is documented and archived. You will learn that this isn't a board that rubber stamps things. This is a board that pushes back. But the truth is, these are people who genuinely care about the well-being of the students in this school district. And because of that, everything that we brought to this board that had anything to do with instruction, teaching and learning, they supported us. They approved it. They trusted that we were going to do the right thing with the resources. And because of that, it's a big reason why we have the kind of results that we have right now. And so I can tell you as a superintendent, I couldn't be more thankful of that. My simple prayer is that we will continue on that path, right? Because the truth is, this school district's accreditation is within reach, right? It is within reach. And the beautiful part, is that this is sustainable work, right? We didn't use hold harmless. This is pure data. And I don't have a problem. I would have used hold harmless if we needed it, honestly, because when you have the constant shifts in assessments, you know, it's only fair that schools don't get hurt every time you have to start over. But this is based on the hard work of our students, removing tons of children from below basic into basic and starting to give them a better opportunity now that they can begin to move to proficiency. And we're extremely excited about that, but we were very methodical in that work. And so we have cabinet members, executive team members, and support staff, and a lot of our people in here from our academic team. Our principals are in here, and our principals, I have to say this to you. I told you before, this isn't the sexy part of the job, right? I mean, having to go in and take the actual assessment that your students are going to take to generate a true understanding of what our kids are facing, right? But then to make sure that we have to kind of unlearn in order to learn how to do things based on what the state expects our kids to know and do. So we were very methodical and very intentional on how we redesigned our principal meetings. And that was very clear, and it's very clear now as I meet with our principals around the work that they're doing and how comfortable they feel about where they are right now as we get ready to go into this new assessment year. So we're excited because all four wheels are aligned. And none of this is possible. You know, we have a great deputy superintendent who just knows instruction. You know, and this is her side of the house, right? Dr. Shepard was brought in, and I said, you have to help us make sure that we get the fundamentals back in place. Rewriting our curriculum, that was done a year, I think, before you came with Trinity at the helm. And so, and what I'm giving you real quick is these 3 or 4 things that has resulted in us being here. Rewriting curriculum, aligning it to state standards, shipping it to the Council for Great City Schools, and getting it vetted. Our teachers were working hard before Dr. Bedell came. But when you have a curriculum that wasn't necessarily aligned and it was focused on routines and procedures, no matter how hard our teachers worked, we weren't going to make the kind of progress we needed to make. So now we have a reliable and valid curriculum. We redesigned our professional development. I think you could talk to our teachers about the Summer Institute. They will tell you how powerful that was. But now the PD is aligned, and then we took our principals and we taught them how to unpack standards, how to even identify what the standards are, and how to be instructional leaders. And those things have paid huge dividends, and then we had our support in making sure that our teachers were able to get the information that they need. To our parents, we thank you for trusting us with your children. The truth is, parents, we still need help. And I hope that as people watch the news tonight, our call out to our parents is that we have to get our kids to come to school every day, right? We have to. It's no excuse that we have kinder, first, second, and third graders, and they're below 90. And that's our Achilles heels right now. And we can't control kindergartners, first graders, second graders, third graders getting to school on a daily basis. That is, we need help, right? And that's our lowest area right now. We only earned 60% of our points because our 90 attendance rate continues to be a problem. So we need help in that area, and then we need help with advocacy. And for our parents who don't understand how to advocate for themselves, we're willing to help you. We have a Parental Empowerment Institute. We have a strong team of community folks that work within our district that will support you. And also, where's Gwen? You know, there's advocacy if you need help through the Urban League with special ed advocacy. She will hold you accountable. She will help you. So go to the Urban League for that help. And most importantly, our students. These students know my heart is for them. I care about them. I tell them all the time, just because you're going through tough situations, you can't use that as an excuse, and you can't use it as a crutch. And under my leadership, I'm not handing out high school diplomas. You're going to have to grind it out, and you're going to have to work. And that's our expectation. So I want to tell you, this 82.9% represents success for KCPS students, past and present. This is not a failing school district, and no one can challenge what's happening in here. We were ready to defend it to anybody, and it's something that we believe can be replicated. Our college and career readiness, we're at or on track for the state's 2020 goal. Our graduation rates are on track for the 2020 goals. I'm extremely excited about the fact that we were able to start a middle college that takes 17 to 24-year-olds off the street. We host this, Penn Valley hosts this program on their campus, and it's wonderful. And it's through a partnership with Penn Valley, a partnership with the Full Employment Council, and we have a waiting line. And here's what we said: we don't care whether you attended our school or not. There are kids that graduated out of that program, that attended charters that dropped out, that attended private schools that may have dropped out, and if you live within our boundaries, we want to help you. That's what this district is about. Now, this part here, some of you may not agree with this, but I'm going to say it anyhow because I think it warrants its due respect. And I will tell you, as a superintendent, I can't take credit solely for where we are. There were past superintendents that had to do some things, whether you like them or not. They had to make decisions that paved the way so that we could come in and focus on instruction. So Dr. Covington, right, the right sizing, and it was painful, and I know it was a 5-4 vote. Closing those schools put us in a financial situation where we were sturdy. We were in a sturdy financial situation. And ultimately, it allowed for us to have a fund balance over time that would allow for us to do the kind of things that we're doing. Dr. Green, at the time, the district was unaccredited. Dr. Green fought hard to move the school district to its full accreditation. We also know that during interim Tunis's time, they had to pass the master plan. All of those phases were things that we then began to build upon when we came together with the community and put our strategic plan together. And like I said, had it not been for some of those decisions prior to our team coming in, I think it would be very difficult for us to sit here and have this kind of conversation. And so we do want to make sure that we pay our respects to people that helped to pave the way. One of the things that we've been blessed with here in this school district is that it has now become a destination site for some of the top educators in the United States. We have been able to attract educators from Texas, from Georgia, from California, from Maryland, in addition to the talent that we already had here in Missouri, and also folks from Kansas, on the Kansas side. And so these highly sought after educators and leaders, they could take their academic expertise anywhere. They can work anywhere, right? Listen to this. This is something people don't know. We produced 2 superintendents 2 years in a row in this school district, right? 2. One in Iowa, Council City Bluffs, and the first African-American superintendent down in Lawrence, Kansas. And we have every headhunter right now calling us, asking us, do you have anybody ready to go? And I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, we have talent here in this school district. And these people, you will see another 4 to 5 superintendents come out of this school district over the next 3 to 4 years as they continue to be developed. And that's our job. And I think the legacy of a superintendent should be on how well you've been able to advance your school district. Is it better than it was before you started? And then how many people did you generate and create that now are going out and having a larger impact on education in the United States? And I think that should be the legacy of a superintendent. We also know that Kansas City is a special place. Your history is complicated. It's well documented in a lot of history books. Your fight, unprecedented in urban education. That just makes this day that much better for all of you, because many of you have been in the valley of despair. And as I've stated earlier, not only do our students deserve this, but you all deserve it. Many of you have been waiting a long time to say the feels this way. So as I close out, I really want to thank a couple of other people, and that's really the community. The business community, and there are many people in here. I see a WASP with School Smart KC. I know that Kaufman has done a lot to support us, City Year. I know that George K. Baum has invested big money in helping us with our AVID program that we rolled out this year. The Community Foundation's given us close to $1 million. And I know Nicole Collier-White is in here somewhere. She's done a phenomenal job with our Education Foundation. We have been able to really establish some partnerships. Hallmark, the Hall Family Foundation, and we also know that we received a nice chunk of money from Commerce Bank. There are a lot of different entities in here that have stepped up to help us on this journey. And I know I'm missing out on some, but at the end of the day, know that we value all of these partnerships, and we want you to know that your resources are being used, and they're being used to get the right type of results. This is an example of it. We will report out to you in terms of the areas where you've invested money in our school district and the returns that is giving for kids. And so we're thankful for those partnerships. Nonprofit community, political community. I see quite a few politicians in here. A lot of friends too, right? Some graduates from the school system. Hey, Jermaine. Richard Brown, former educator. And then most importantly, there's two individuals I have to really give credit to that I sit down with on a monthly basis, right? And that's Tyler. I don't know if he's in here with SEIU, and Andrea Flinders. We have to sit down and we talk, and guess what? Guess what? Our goal at the end of the day is the same, that we want the same thing for these kids, right? And I think it requires that there's a lot of push and pull, but we want all of our kids to be successful. We want our teachers to feel that they can work in a culture and a climate that's conducive to them being able to do a great job, just as we would expect for all 2,200 of our employees. And so having those partnerships and being able to have that type of dialogue, it means a lot to us. We also know that the educational community, a lot of the partnerships that we formed with some of the local school districts, we have a lot of support out there. Even what we're trying to do now as we begin to have more dialogue with our charter counterparts. We all live in the same area. We need to make sure that every single one of our kids are getting the service that they need. And I have to say this because, my family takes a hit on how much work we put in this. And I have to say that. I see Denise back there. Hey, Denise. Denise has done a lot for us, so thank you, Denise. But my family has to sacrifice a lot. Because listen, I'm not the type of superintendent that just works in central office. I'm in schools. My principals know I do completely unannounced visits. So I see the truth, and then I can call it like I see it. But not only that, I do a lot of extracurricular with these kids. I'm at the games. I attend a lot of the extracurricular events. And that's at the sacrifice sometimes of me being able to be the father that needs to be present and the husband that needs to be present. And I want to thank my wife who is in here because she's also a mentor. She's mentored a young lady 2 years in a row, a senior last year, and now I think she's working with a sophomore at Central High School. And I don't think you log in your stuff, so we have a system, and you need to adhere to that system. But, so my quick vision, and I'm out of here. Justin, I know I'm over my time, but I'm out of here in about 3 minutes. My vision for KCPS by 2030. When I first arrived as superintendent, I thought I only had to worry about KCPS. And after nearly 3 years since I signed my contract, I've learned that this system is much bigger than us. My vision is just not for KCPS, it is for Kansas City. By the year 2030, this is what I want to see. High quality academics from 3 years to 12th grade, 3-year-olds to 12th grade, competitive extracurricular and athletic activities. I too want to go to Jefferson City and watch our kids compete in a state championship for football, right? And the truth is, the only way that's going to happen is we're going to have to look at legislation because we have a lot of options here, and there's got to be a way that we can tell these kids that are attending charters that if they don't offer football, they should be able to go to their home school and compete. And that gives us now the whole district like everybody else gets, and it gives our kids an opportunity to be competitive. And I just think that's fair. State-of-the-art buildings that promote academic achievement. We have $450 million in deferred maintenance, yet we have not come to this community for a general obligation bond to do capital projects since 1966 or 67, so we need help. And most importantly, an equitable environment for all students. Our board adopted an equity policy 0.0 that will guide all of the work that we do. We've tiered our schools in a way that allows for us to provide more resources for the schools that need more and the students that show up needing more. And we think that that is going to pay huge dividends because you have to be able to control for those variables that are beyond the control of a student. Some of our students are dealt a tough hand in life. And I think at the end of the day, when they get in those four doors, it's our job to have the supports in place so that those variables don't become continuous impediments to them being able to achieve academically. We are stronger together, everybody. We can't accomplish this vision alone. KCPS can't accomplish this alone. It took many of you working together for the last 10 years to get us here. To reach the next destination, we must remember that we are stronger together. The success of this educational system relies on how well we as a community work together. Thank you and congratulations, Kansas City. All right, so at this time, we are ready to field some questions, if there are any. Sure, it's my understanding, and I spoke with Margie Van Dieven 2 years ago when I reported, and one of the things she said to me 2 years ago was that we need for the district to be able to demonstrate that we can hit the 70% mark consistently in 2 consecutive years. I told her at the end of the day, we will do everything in our power to try to pursue it, but it won't be a surprise to me if she says, hey, you all need to demonstrate it another year. I've had meetings with all of our principals, most of them so far. They have to come in and do a 30-minute state of the school, and they need to tell us all of these resources that our board has approved. What are they doing right now, right? And I can tell you with confidence, I feel even more comfortable right now, given the amount of resources that we have about where we're heading as we head into this next assessment season. And so if that's the case, and we need to prove it again, I think we're ready for it. We're up to the task. All right? Yeah. Well, I think part of it is 2 years ago, remember I talked to you about hold harmless earlier, right? And hold harmless is automatically applied by the state. We don't have a choice, we accept it because the state doesn't want school districts to get hurt. So we had to use hold harmless also to help us 2 years ago to get that 70%. This 82.9, this is purely based on the work that our students have done and the work that our teachers have done working with our students. So you don't have this situation where as they start to pull away hold harmless, because they will, and the truth is going to come out on a lot of school districts, this is pure. So this is why I believe that we will not see a drop as we continue to move forward. And at the end of the day, we're going to be able to build on this because of the fact that there will be more consistency. We now will have to go into year 2 of the English and math map. The problem is we still don't have an item analysis, and I think that's very important. We need to know because that helps to inform our curriculum, right? It's not just we want to know why did a whole bunch of kids choose D when D wasn't the right answer, and then we could say, is it our curriculum or was it just something that we missed in how we delivered instruction? So those item analyses are very critical in helping us to be able to have the sustainability, but we feel good because we have iReady this year. Remember with NWEA, that was more of a norm reference assessment, right? So it really assessed how our kids were performing against kids around the country. Well, that's great, but where you want to, at the end of the day, the federal government's not giving you your accreditation rating. The state of Missouri is. And so we have iReady now, which is more aligned to the state standards, and it lets us know what kind of gaps our kids have, how far away are they from being able to access the standards, right? Because if a kid can't access the 7th grade standard, it's gonna be very hard. They're gonna be frustrated, and they're gonna start acting out. When you can't do the work, you're gonna find another way to be relevant in that classroom. So what we figured is, using iReady, we can see where the gaps are. We hired reading interventionists, math interventionists. The board approved for us to spend $1.2 million into our fund balance, and then they approved another $2 million so we can buy new Chromebooks for our kids in grades 3 through 6. So we're gonna be okay.
The other thing, when you look at the 70 points previously, this superintendent really believes in cohort retention. And so when you look at those numbers, it was a right time, right test, and he's keeping the cohorts together, which I don't know if you want to talk more about that.
Thank you, that's true. Because the state does, and I see Tony Stansberry in the back, but the state does allow for you to basically say if a kid has a D or if they miss too many days, you don't have to assess them. And so when we had that drop, there were a bunch of kids that weren't even assessed, that then were now juniors and seniors, and they had to take the assessment. And in this state, you don't have to pass the state assessment in order to meet your graduation requirements, unlike a state I worked in where you don't pass that, you don't graduate. So kids can just sit in and they can just bubble in. And so what we said was, no more right test, right time. If you're in that class and you're in that grade level, you taking the assessment. So we won't have, that's another piece that we won't have to worry about. Yeah, I would tell you it's been a transformation in quite a few of our schools. And the thing that I like to tell people, don't go off of the perception. I mean, because I still think that people go back to 10, 15, 20 years ago, and that's the perception that they have of our school district. They approach us through a deficit lens. The thing that I like to tell people is, we're not hiding anything that we're doing on our campuses. So you are free to go. Go see for yourself what's happening with the culture and climate in our schools. Holiday, for example, I went to Holiday the other day, and I was just amazed. I came home and told my wife, I said, man, Holiday is a phenomenal school, and you can see the growth over there, right? You can see, but like you can go, right? And that's a school that hasn't been on a lot of people's minds, but go over there and see what these little scholars are doing, these 3-year-olds, these 4-year-olds. It will blow your mind, and we're getting ready to change generations because of the way that we're working with the young kids. While we still have to focus on the older, we have taken a whole different approach with the young kids.
Dr. Bedell, how does this play out in terms of what you see in terms of behavior? I'm going to just expand on this in terms of disciplinary problems and those kinds of things. Does it relate to that?
Yeah, there's a correlation. I mean, but I think what you will find out, one of the things we're doing is we've really become strong with our problem-solving teams this year. And it's not easy. We've trained our people over the summer. We have our partnership with the Center for Conflict Resolution, make sure I got that right. But, so we're doing a lot of work around trying to get to the root cause of why students are doing what they're doing. As principals have been coming into me, they've been sharing with me their suspension rates. Our suspension rates are significantly down. And because of that, that means that the kids are at school more, and we're dealing with the frustrations because of these problem-solving teams. We think that all of that will help with the sustainability of what we're trying to do. But we've been very intentional. Like I said, where we are right now, this was methodical. I told the board, I think on November 2nd, 2016, I know people have told you all that we're 1 year away from accreditation. I said, nah, we're about 4. I told the board this, and year 4 is next year, and we are on target for that. All right, thank you.